Neil from Essex here today to show you some used tractors. We're going to sell a little bit here today. Oftentimes we're out here on the Essex channel talking about features, functionality, how to use your equipment a little bit better, but today I'm actually going to sell to you a little bit. It's been unusual for us over, say, the last decade or so to have a whole lot of inventory under 60 horsepower, but that's changed a little bit now. We're seeing more trade-ins. We've got a little bit more equipment on our lot. We've taken in some repossessions and bought some tractors that people were selling. Got a little bit more action to be able to show you here today. So we're going to walk around the lot a little bit, talk about some of these machines. You might find it interesting to hear about them and the market value that they're bringing today. And maybe a little bit educational for you. So come join me today. We're going to walk around and look at some of our used compact tractor inventory.
Essex, a helping hand with your land.
First up is this New Holland TC40. This came from a local landscaping company that put some years on this machine, specifically doing some snow removal and loading of salt and stuff in their yards. And that actually shows on this machine here a little bit. You're gonna see some salt corrosion down in the bucket and around the back side of the quick coupler, a little bit around on the 3-point hitch as well. It's not super bad, but it is there and you can tell the machine was used in salt. Another concern that I would have on this machine is that we have found some mechanical deficiencies on it. So the transmission right now is not shifting between high and low range, and we can't get the 4-wheel drive to shift out. Now, when we get a tractor like this, oftentimes we're gonna take it into the shop and do a little bit of work to it, but this one is gonna be sold kind of as what we would call a mechanic special. The market value for this machine with everything working would normally be in about the $18,000 range, but the way that it sits here today, we're asking just $12,500 for it. If I was buying this machine, I would pull the cab and throw it away, clean up the fenders a little bit, wax the hoods and shine all of that up a little bit, and then take a look at some of the electronics. Usually this mechanical shifting issue is electrically related and can be switched out with changing a couple of switches and stuff around. It's something that is not an uncommon issue on this tractor. So those are the deficiencies of this machine. But for its qualities, it's a 40-horse tractor with 4-wheel drive, a good solid set of tires. It's got some good lugs on it, only about 450 hours on the meter, and a super steer front axle that allows the front axle to turn, giving this tractor a much better maneuverability than a lot in its class. So interesting machine, one that we tend to label as a mechanic special. If you want to tinker on something in the garage for a little bit, this is an awesome platform to do it on. Out of the same family of tractors as the TC40 that we just talked about is this TC35. This is going to be a very similar tractor to that machine in terms of its footprint, but just 5 less engine horsepower. You're going to notice here that the loader looks a little bit different as well. This tractor does not have the super steer feature that the TC40 has. Therefore, the loader is closer to the tractor and it's not going to have quite the turning radius that upgraded machine does. This one comes through with 850 hours or so on it, and we're going to have an asking price on this of $17,900, kind of where I expected one of those in good condition to be. If you look at this machine, it's going to be in a lot better shape overall, was not in salt, and so you have a lot less rust and corrosion on the machine. The rear tires here are a little bit worn. They probably have 400 or 500 hours of life left to them yet, but the front tires have been replaced. They still have the nubs on the front. It is typical on compact tractors to go through 2 sets of fronts to 1 set of rears, so this is kind of a normal wear pattern to see on this machine. As far as the qualities of this machine, this is a unit that would have been made in the kind of like late 2000s, like the 2005, 2007 range. It's difficult for us to put actual years to this equipment. You don't have a serial number chart to look up on exactly when everything was made. The year tends to be based upon the year that it was sold with this kind of equipment. So it's in that era. There was a DA series that came out with this that would have bug-eye headlights that go up and down. The machine's basically the same. It's mostly cosmetic changes. So really good era of tractors. Some of our favorite compacts from New Holland came out of this time. It has a lot of worthwhile features with a 4-range transmission, still being hydrostatic, great visibility. Could be a cool compact tractor at your house. Now this is the current generation of New Holland compacts. This one is still sold today, and this particular one only has 154 hours on it. This is a 30 horsepower tractor with the New Holland curved boom loader on the front gives you some nice visibility when you're back here in the seat, and a little bit more reach in your loader to be able to, say, stack things or dump stuff up high. These loaders have a little bit more of a longer swept boom than what's typical, making them good for different types of applications than what some other loaders are that are held really close to the tractor. This loader comes through with a skid steer coupler on it. That's not going to be found on all tractors in this class. That's going to allow you to swap that bucket out for forks and bale spears and grapples and whatever you might want to put on the front. This has turf tires on it, and in 150 hours, unsurprisingly, the tires are in great condition. Tractor's going to have a hydrostatic transmission on it, making it nice and easy to drive. This generation of machine starts to feel a little bit more modern than some of our other older tractors that we looked at before, with loader valves that are back by your hip and things like cup holders and stuff the company's been coming out more recently with to kind of make their tractors a little bit more comfortable. The 3-point hitch on the back of this machine is complete. It's not missing any of the linkages, so you should have a tractor here that's good to stick a key in and go out and go to work. We're going to be asking $22,800 for this particular machine, saving about 15% or so off of what a new one goes for today. This one I'm surprised is still here. This is a Kubota L5030. Now, about 15 years ago, this was the biggest compact tractor that Kubota was making, with a cab on it, the whole bit. 50 horsepower tractor, and also old enough to be pre-emissions. This is the last generation before you start seeing things like EGR and DPF filters and that kind of stuff on the engine to clean up the exhaust. So this is a kind of rare pre-emissions tractor. This one has 1,670 hours on it, so it's a little bit more than broken in at this point, but not near the point that we would say these things are starting to get worn out. We don't usually start looking close till we get close to, say, 5,000 to 6,000 hours on this kind of equipment. If you look at the tractor here, a little bit of modifications and stuff have been done to it. So this was probably used for snow removal, because I see LED light bars up here on the roof with corner lights out here as well. And if you look at the loader that's out there on the bucket, it's a large high capacity bucket. Now this bucket is actually off of Kubota's tractor loader backhoe series. It's probably the bucket that would have been used over on the L47. You're gonna notice it has a really heavy duty build quality and is much higher capacity than what's actually intended for this tractor. No concerns there, but just know you probably can overload the loader a little bit if you go and you try to scoop up stone or dirt or something with this bucket. Picking up smaller ones may not be a bad idea, or just be conscious of what it is that you're picking up with the machine. Mechanically, when I walk around here, there's not a whole lot that jumps out at me as concerns. The tires are in fairly good shape. They're worn, but you still have plenty of tread left to them. When I go around the back and look at the 3-point hitch, everything back here is complete. None of the hardware is missing. This tractor also has an optional rear remote on the back. That can add about $1,200 to the cost of one of these machines today. So if you have a rear implement that needs hydraulics, all the plumbing is already here for it. This tractor has a hydrostatic transmission, but this is the generation before Kubota's current HST Plus transmission. So this is the standard hydrostatic. It lacks some of the features that are on the newer machines when it comes to things like auto throttle and auto HDS, some of those shift on the go. So this is a mechanical transmission that's still found today in some of the economy hydrostatic Kubota tractors, but lacks the HST Plus features of the newer machine. So cool that it's pre-emissions, but being a little bit older does lack some of those bells and whistles that we've become accustomed to over in some of our other tractors. So if you're shopping for this machine, this is going to come in at $28,900 for a 50 horse pre-emissions category 2 heavy duty compact tractor. Our next tractor is this Kubota MX5200 DT. This is Kubota's gear drive utility tractor. So this machine is going to be 52 engine horsepower, but have a much heavier rear end than what's often found in 50 horse tractors. So this is a category 2 rear end, has a lot of heft in the back when you look at it. And when you check out the front axles as well, it's a really heavy front axle with a very substantial front tire. This front axle is probably one of the things that I think is the most attractive about Kubota's MX series tractor. It's overbuilt for what you typically find in machines of this size, and the front tire is just, it's a great chunky heavy front tire. It gives the tractor a great look. The loader on this is going to have a skid steer coupler on it and a light material bucket, higher capacity bucket for this kind of machine. The loader is going to handle anything that you can manage to scoop up in that light material bucket. You're going to notice here the previous owner went and put LED lights on this as well. This generation had halogen headlights in the front, so adding some extra LEDs is probably a nice worthwhile addition. They're done on both the back of the machine and up here on the front grill guard. Working our way back around the machine, take a look here at the hour meter. Right now it shows 115, but we know that's incorrect. The dash in this machine was replaced at about 500 hours, so it actually would have about 615, give or take, hours on it at this point. So there was a replacement dash put in at one point. When you look at the floor pan here, maybe a little bit of wrinkling in it from people jumping on and off of it all the time. And I'm noticing back here that the bottom of the seat is starting to wear a little bit. The seat and the foam are starting to separate. Working around the back of the tractor, the rear 3-point is complete. And you're gonna notice as we talked about these machines, I point out if the 3-point's complete or not. You'll see a lot of used tractors that are missing 3-point hitch hardware. And if you need to go buy some of those things, you'll be really surprised at how expensive replacing 3-point hitch hardware can be. It's a costly upgrade if you've got to go and fix that on a used tractor. So this machine's gonna come through right now at $27,900. This is gonna be about 15 grand less than what a brand new machine out of this series is going to cost today. And this machine is only one generation old. The MX 5400 is the current one. This is the 5200, that's the prior one. And the biggest difference between those machines is rubber floor mats and the location of a PTO switch. So this is a great value tractor if you're looking to pick up a used machine. We will trade a lot of different kinds of tractors, actually. We're looking at all kinds of like what would look like pretty expensive stuff, right? Because it's good, newer equipment. It's got a lot of life left to it. Something somebody's willing to invest money into. But we trade things at kind of all ends of their life cycles, right? This is an old Sato tractor. This was actually built by Mitsubishi decades ago, obviously. It's an old machine. But depending on what your application is, it might actually make sense to you. A lot of people have, say, like hunting cabins up in the woods and need to maintain some trails and that kind of stuff, and might not be able to justify some of the shiny iron that you see sitting out here. This tractor is a gear drive machine, has a 25 horse gas engine in it, not a diesel, but surprisingly has a complete and functional 3-point hitch on the back. So if you want to pull, say, a small plow, a single bottom plow, pull a little rotary cutter or something to take care of something up around a cabin, you have options like this that can be found. We're only asking $17.75 for this tractor, and yeah, if you've got the right application for it and are willing to tinker on it a little bit, right, you wouldn't expect bulletproof reliability from something at this point. It could be a great option for you. The next tractor up is this Mahindra 3215 hydrostatic. This is a tractor that's actually built by Mitsubishi. You gotta watch with Mahindra machines. They source their equipment from a number of different manufacturers and will rapidly jump between them in some cases. The Mitsubishi built stuff, though, tends to be the best of their tractors. So we've seen Mitsubishi equipment over the years from Cub Cadet and a number of other companies. They're a common OEM for some of these companies that just slap their name on the side of stuff. This machine's gonna be 32 horsepower, comes through with a fairly stout loader, a hydrostatic transmission, and the weathering on this would probably be the biggest thing that jumps out at me. The paint does not look great. You're gonna see some checking in the seat and that kind of stuff. The fenders are nearly white at this point. Looking back at the 3-point hitch, it's missing a top link, and it looks like one of the side sway bars here has been, say, improved by its previous owner. A little bit of work done back there from the looks of it. Now, this tractor is gonna be a little bit less expensive machine, right? This right now we have priced at $9,800. That's a price that we probably won't get for a tractor like this. A machine like this, we've got a little bit of room on because we're gonna talk about the condition issues and stuff on it, and there's either things that we're gonna fix at some expense or give up to you at a much better price point if you'd like to tinker something in your garage. So when you're looking at this kind of stuff and wondering how much room is there in some of these prices, a lot of that depends on the condition and the amount of work that we might see that needs to be done with that tractor, because we're often gonna discuss those kinds of things. Biggest thing back here, again, we talked about the weathering. You'll notice up here in the front, the headlights are smashed out of it too. So not a beautiful machine, but one that is very functional and a fairly stout tractor. Next up in the BX series is this 1860. Now this is a 60 series tractor. When you look at BXs, these things have been made now for pushing 25 years. There's some generations in here that are good and some that you want to keep an eye on. If you go to the prior generation of this in the 50 series, there's a lot of plastics in these machines and they often look a little rough. If you go up just one notch though to the 60 series, all these go back to being metal again, and these tractors hold up a lot better. They look a lot better on the used market than what the 50s do. So this is still going to give you the all metal construction, even though it's out of a very similar era as what the 50 series machines are. This is going to have about 900 hours on it, being about a 15-year-old tractor or so. That's about typical for what we usually see out of a BX series machine. These don't get worn out until about, say, 3,000 to 4,000 hours or so. So a tractor like this can have a lot of life left to it. Condition-wise, this probably was outside a little bit. You can see a little bit of fading here on the plastics and on the paint. And you'll notice on the seat up here, there's a little bit of weathering, and we're getting some cracking and stuff in the vinyl. It's not beyond use at all at this point, but you're going to notice a little bit of wear there. The tractor's been out and about a little bit. As far as equipment goes, it has a 54-inch mower deck underneath of it. These are nice, heavy decks. They have scalp wheels on all the corners and a big double V-belt that powers all of those. Gearboxes on top of the deck. It's a good, heavy tractor. In terms of its loader, it's an LA203 loader. Will lift about 450, 500 pounds in the loader. This generation of machines did not have skid steer couplers on the front like the modern ones do today. So if swapping that bucket out for other attachments is a consideration for you, this is not available in this era. You have to go up to newer machines. The 3-point hitch on this tractor is complete the whole way around, including the original factory top link. Oftentimes these get bent or lost, but this one still has it. And the rest of the machine looks pretty good. If I was going to do anything here, it would maybe be hit it with a little bit of wax, go and buy some of the knobs and stuff that are showing a little bit of weathering on it. It's only a couple of bucks, but it's going to make your tractor look a lot better. It's a machine that's got a lot of life left to it, and a little bit over $11,000 for working around your property and that kind of thing. You can spend a lot more than that today, almost double the money to get into a tractor like this new. At basically half price though, you can get a lot of similar work done by looking used, so this is a great option. Why anybody would buy a garden tractor when this kind of thing is available on the market sometimes just blows my mind. This is a full-on subcompact tractor, 23 horse diesel at the engine, 3-point hitch, mower deck, you name it. No front loader on this machine, right? It has the valve up here to operate one if you'd like to find one, but this tractor is really probably going to be sold to somebody that wants to do more mowing and gardening oriented work with it. It has 1,700 hours on it, so it's been used a little bit, but really if it's a 1,700 hour tractor, it looks pretty good to me. The sheet metal is fairly straight, taken care of. The seat is in really good condition. You could spend a little bit of time going around and scrubbing and replacing some knobs and stuff and have a really sharp looking tractor at the end of the day. But for a 1,700 hour machine, I'm fairly impressed. If I look at wear on here, those 1,700 hours were mostly mowing grass, right? That's what this tractor was for. And you could see some bumps and bruises that have happened down here. So at one point, a scalp wheel was probably knocked because somebody welded their own scalp wheel solution down here on the bottom. The handle down here for releasing the mower deck from the tractor, somebody has worked up with a piece of rebar, so some work was done there. Beyond that though, a solid looking tractor. When you look up here at the gauge cluster, I can see there's a little bit of moisture inside of it. That's common on this era machine. There's replacement gauge clusters over and parts for ones that won't pick up moisture anymore. The older ones still do that. Hours wise, this tractor's got 1,700 hours on it, so it's maybe halfway through its life or so. It's got a long way to go yet, but we're asking $77.25 for it. The price of a 300 series John Deere over at Home Depot. You can buy a 23 horse diesel 4-wheel drive tractor with a 3-point hitch and everything on the back. Man, the work that this thing can do is pretty impressive, and it's a great value and can make good sense for someone. So those are the units that are out here at our Mount Joy location, but if you check out Messick's.com, there'll be a link down there in the description. It'll take you to our full list of compact tractor inventory and show you the machines that are at our other 4 locations as well. This inventory is always changing, and as soon as the weather warms here and we take our jackets off, these machines will start flying out the door. This is a little bit of a unique time for us. We've had more of this kind of equipment right now than what I've seen in at least a decade, and it's great to be able to have some options again for people, because so many times we're telling you that this kind of thing is just not available, can't be found in the market, and super expensive when you do. And I think some of these tractors actually kind of make sense in a lot of situations. So if you're shopping for a used compact tractor, we can help. click a look on our website there and see all the different options we have, or give us a call at 800-222-3373. We're glad to sit down and talk about the applications that you have and see if one of these machines is going to fit properly on your property. But okay.